Hi guys, welcome back to my channel On Table Board Games. I'm really glad that you are here because today, as you can see, I will show you and tell you a little bit more about new board games from Awakened Realms below the Asylum. What kind of board game is this, how to play on this game and how to look like? In this video I will show you everything, so enjoy watching. Before your eyes, the board and two words. Kind of like in Stranger Things. One word is our, above, the left side of the board. The other, below, is a mirror reflection of the first, but full of dread and monsters. It's not a place you want to visit. Truth, sooner or later, you will have to. Why? If only to meet the rituals, requirements, and gain seals. The more you collect, the faster you will fill the spaces in the tangle of connections on the ritual wheels. But time is running out. If you don't finish the ritual and the event deck, draw after all players take their turns, run out, the two dimensions will merge and terrifying mutations will rule the world of human. So, completing the ritual procedure is the player's most important goal in this board game. That's why the ritual wheel is the center point of the board. The players, as agent of the B.E.L.O.W organization, each with their own unique abilities, must earn and place seals on the spaces of the rotating rings, pushing them towards the center before the time runs out. The pressure is higher, but look, for every seal you place, you will gain a bonus or level up one of your character's stats. Your efforts will be hindered by the terrifying creatures of the Asylum who are slipping for the B.E.L.O.W to the surface ever more often. You must stop them by closing the passages, the rift between these dimensions. How do you do all that? I will show you in a gameplay snippet in just a moment. Below the Asylum is a fully cooperative board game. Players must therefore work together, using their asymmetric abilities to meet the requirements on successive ritual cards and earn seals for doing so. Then they place those colored cubes on the wall, gaining bonuses such as drawing items or spells or upgrading a chosen character stat. Progressing the further spaces in the maze of ritual connections will be complicated by the random shifting of the outer ring. But perhaps you will find a way, maybe some spells that help you steer this mechanism. On their turn, each agent performs a set of main action, moving through the Asylum dark rooms, searching rooms for items, destroying the rifts that link the two worlds, or fighting or pushing back the mutated creatures. One character in the prototype you are seeing has ethereal helpers in the form of cards, which can effectively scare off monsters' entities, pushing them into other rooms and cleaning the agent's path. The other agents much prefer to kill those abominations, terribly increasing the effectiveness of his sword. The more he kills, the stronger he becomes, but the dreadful mutation also grows in power as time slips away. Okay guys, now I will show you how a game turn can play out in a simple round. So we start with Agent Oliver, who begins by activating his cat as a free action. He spent one potential to send his cat 2 spaces to scare off 2 nurses in the adjacent room. The cat's power is stronger than starting and lets him push both ladies 2 rooms away. The agent doesn't want to waste his main action for banish, so he uses his cat's abilities as a free action instead. Next, for his main action, the agent moves and enters a room with an exploration card to reveal it and in this way fulfill a requirement on the active ritual cards. 2 cards in the above section need to be revealed. This will let the player gain an additional red seal when performing the ritual. So, reveal an exploration card, agent must spend main action, but in return he gains a regular seal, the red one, which he immediately places on the ritual wheel. So he decides to cover the space with the spell church bonus. He moves the marker to the last space on the track and may draw 3 spell cards, from which both players jointly choose one to save for later. Spells offer a range of powerful effects, from rotating the ritual ring to better align the connections, moving the monarch to kill strong creatures. And that's exactly the kind of card the players decide to keep, a strong attack spell. The revealed exploration card provides a chance to recover a lost life card. That is a form of healing, which also requires spending an action. Okay, now time for the agent's last action. He chooses to move again. He moves 2 rooms because he doesn't want to end his turn in a room whose mirror counterparts is swarming with mutated creatures. Why does he care, given that he's moving in above half of the board? Because the effect of Shimmer card will likely soon throw him into the B.E.L.O.W world. So, at the end of each turn, every agent draws a Shimmer card and resolves its effects. So, in this situation, if there were any creatures being in adjacent rooms, the Shimmer effect will pull them into the agent's room. Now the agent advances the marker on his player board by the number of spaces shown on the card. If the marker reaches the end of the track, as it does now, his miniatures is automatically flipped into the room in the opposite world. And as you can see, that's exactly what happens here. So during the game, you must keep a close eye on where that indicator sits, because whether you want it or not, sooner or later, the Shimmer will send you to the B.E.L.O.W world, and sometimes it will hold you back from those dark depths to the likely safer above. Now, gameplay passed to the second player. He immediately spent his main action to perform the ritual because he met the card's requirement. He's standing in a room with book, which symbol is shown on the exploration card. He spent 1 stamina, and thanks to that, the players gain a strong blue seal. Next, you need to check whether the remaining optional conditions on the ritual card have been met. The first require that 2 exploration cards in the above section be revealed. They are, so the players get an extra red seal. The second condition says that 1 exploration card must be revealed in the B.E.L.O.W world. That it's also be done, so performing this ritual will grant the players all possible seals, 1 blue and 2 red. Now all the required cubes need to be placed on the ritual well along the connections between the spaces. So the red cube therefore goes on a space with bonus that lets the players draw item cards. I will show you that in a moment. The next space connects to the outer ring and requires using a strong blue seal and discarding the required resources. In this example, it's a skull, so that the next phase, the next step of the ritual is completed. The agent has a skull among his resources, so he placed it in a corner next to the ritual circle, and in this way fulfill the second of 4 conditions for finishing the entire ritual. Importantly, every time the players perform a ritual that places a seal on a space with a ritual components, the skull, candle or book, so at least 4 times per game, they can upgrade their abilities. These are the sword or card effects for these heroes by strengthening active abilities or selecting a new card with effects. In other words, in my example, Oliver's cats can collect ritual resources for the agent, not only scare creatures. And the sword blade agent will be able, for instance, to make attack in mirror rooms in the opposite dimension. The last regular red seal goes onto another bonus space. This one raises one of the attributes for both characters. So Oliver definitely needs to increase his potential so he can activate his cards more often, because potential is what he spends to activate them. Meanwhile, the Blade agent increases his stamina, which lets him reach the end of that track and unlocked an extra main action that was previously locked. Now back to the ability to draw item cards. By covering bonus with a regular seal, the players can draw one card each, and they must immediately decide whether to keep the item for later use or discard the card to take the resources shown in the corner. Those, in turn, are useful when performing the banish action to strengthen your push or attack, then you use a skull, or when performing the prepare action. If you have candles and throw them into the room, you will be able to refresh one of your attributes, stamina or potential. Okay, now it's time to reveal a new ritual card and check what requirements the agents must now meet to obtain more seals. As you can see, you will get the main blue seal if you spend one stamina while in a room with an eye, and those exist only in the below section. In addition, you can optionally get 2 red seals if one of the agents is standing in a room with a skinwalker, and second red cube if there's a candle in a room with a nurse. So now back to the active agent. He still has 2 main actions to use. One of them, he decides to move to an adjacent room where a nurse is standing, and now he can attack her. Use banish action by taking a main action, or in his case, an extra action by spending potential and not losing a main action. Banish action always costs 1 stamina. If your stamina drops to 0, note that you lose 1 health point, so it's worth keeping an eye on it. Okay, so now I will show you how an attack in this board game looks like. This agent rolls 1 wild die and 1 navy die in starting level. Depending on the values and symbols rolled, he will be able to push back or kill the opponent. The nurse health is 2, so 2 strength symbols on the dice are enough to handle this being in a single action. If the agent lacked strength or push symbols after the roll, and if he has a skull, he can leave it in a room to increase the attack level and take care of the opponent. Here the roll results were sufficient, so agent raises his sword level for killing the being. And he still has 1 main action left and decides to take prepare action to discard candle in this room and raise an attribute level. And now, at the end of the turn, the agent must draw shimmer card and resolve its effects. If this agent were in a below section, the monarch would move 1 room toward him. However, we resolve the effect below. So in the mirror room of the other half of the board, you must pull into that room all creatures from adjacent connected rooms. Now the agent advances his marker 2 spaces on his player board, but that still doesn't trigger the flip to the opposite dimension. After all players' turns are resolved, you draw a new event card. And look now, in the top left corner of this card, there may or may not be a symbol indicated how far the outer ritual ring should rotate. In my case, it must rotate by 2 quarters. Next, according to the icons in the top right corner, we move the creatures on the part of the map where the agents are. They move as many spaces, as many rooms, as the numbers by their miniatures indicate. In my case, the skinwalkers and nurse each move 1 space, always through the nearest agents. Time to resolve the ability on the event card. In this case, if there are at least 3 open reefs on the map, and there are, the strongest enemy in each ward moves 1 room. And finally, the bottom effects of the event card. If Needle Claws is not yet on the map, it must be summoned in the summoning room, which is in the below section. And after that, the monarch activates. Here, you draw a card from his activation deck. This card will guide you through the steps in order. First, we always resolve the top part. In this case, the agent in the same ward as a monarch must resolve a trauma card if he has one. If the monarch is not in the agent's room, you must open a new rift in that room. I just add that if all the portal miniatures are already on the map and you need to open a new one, the players immediately lose the game. Back to the monarch activation card. Resolve the effect appropriate to the current chapter. In my case, that's chapter 2. So the monarch moves 2 rooms toward the agent with the lowest health and then summons Needleclaw into the room he occupies. The last step of event phase is resolving attacks by creatures that are in the same room as the agents. As a result of their effects, the heroes will not only lose health, but may receive trauma cards with, unpleasant abilities for the agents. So now you can see in these 2 connected words, above and below, there are many unpredictable effects that make the agent's task harder. So, do you want to try to perform the ritual and save the world? If you're wondering what kind of board game is Below the Asylum, if you're wondering is this game is for me, I hope this video gives you all information about this board game. Guys, it's all for me today. Thank you very much for watching and see you in next video. Bye!
But you tear me to pieces away.